Welcome back to America Trends. I'm Mary Burt-Godwin. And as technology is shifting and getting richer and smarter by the minute, all the major industries are really needing to find ways to keep up, but also to find new ways to help service their customers and consumers and how to reach them and make life easier and better for them. And the healthcare industry is really is leading the way right now, really. And I am so excited to introduce you to our next guest, Anthony Capone. He is the president of DocGo, which is a leading provider of AI-powered mobile medical services and transportation currently they're in 26 US states and also in the UK. Anthony, welcome to America Trends.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm so happy to meet you and to talk to you about this. I was looking all through your website, and it's a fascinating industry, and the ways in which you're helping people that need healthcare is really, really amazing and really needed at this time, especially with COVID now, right? When people are not able to get out necessarily to their doctor's appointments and be serviced and get the needs that they have met. So first I want to hear, before we get into DocGo, I want to talk about you and all of your accomplishments, because you've accomplished quite a bit, as I saw from your resume.
No, well, I don't know about that. I'm not so sure, but I definitely am fortunate in that I come from a family that loved me, and they kind of encouraged me to get into computer science pretty early. And so, I've been just a tech nerd since I was like 13, coding some of my first websites and first web applications, and just loved it. Loved just the concept of building and solving problems and getting more and more and more complex problems that led me into where we are today, which I think is, in my opinion, humble opinion, is solving one of the most incredibly difficult, but also incredibly important problems. To be able to leverage technology, genuinely leverage software to help a human being be healthier, I find few things more rewarding. So, my past is far less important than the future that I hope to create by powering our healthcare teams with the software, with the AI that we've built.
Well, I love that. And the technology that you learned when you were young and that interest, the fact that you're using it to help people is very, very important, because we're seeing people utilize technology for maybe not so helpful things, or maybe they start off with good intentions. But here, this is very, very important. And first, let me talk to you about ambulance. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, ambulance.
Yeah.
Little zzz at the end
Like
there.
ambulance. Okay, cool. So that is a company that you started, right?
It was founded by our CEO, Stan Wachowski.
Okay.
I joined him pretty much right at the beginning there. And he'd been a lifetime paramedic, and he had an incredible experience, personal experience with failure in medical transportation with a loved one. And that inspired him, plus being a serial entrepreneur in the medical software space, inspired him to try and solve the problem. And after doing a lot of research, realized that it's one of these unique industries where it's a lose-lose-lose, meaning that you have the employees don't make any money, and the customer, the patient, gets poor service, and the companies don't make any money. Ambulance companies historically make very little money, if any. And so you have this, everyone's losing. There must be a better way. And after doing more and more research, realized, well, the better way to do that is to focus on efficiency, doing more with less or doing more with the same, but all about doing more with efficiency. And because of that, you can then make more money for the company, you can pay your people more, and you can do better service to the patients, to the members. And the only way to increase efficiency, the only way to really, really make more with less, is through technology. And so we spent years focusing on our scheduling, dispatching, routing systems such that we could maximize the allocation of our resources in a way that created a better patient experience, but also allowed for the financials to be more in line with success. And so it's been a long journey to get to that point, but years and years focused on just building out the software that goes under the hood to maximize the utilization of all of our medical resources.
So I want to see if we can pull up that page we had up a second ago. It had ambulance, and then there was ambulette, and sedan. There was a couple different options. So can we talk
Sure.
through about that? Because I don't know if this is part of it, but it seems like it makes a lot of sense to say maybe you don't need the big mamma jamma ambulance with everything for every single case. Maybe you can go down to these smaller sizes depending on your need. Is that correct?
Yeah, and that's exactly right. When you think about the complexity necessary to figure that out, a given patient, they have needs that are very dynamic and complex. So, like you were seeing the sedan, that's for a patient that is ambulatory, they can walk. Or you have somebody that's in a wheelchair, somebody that's bedbound and on oxygen, or they're bedbound on oxygen with multiple IVs and maybe on a ventilator. Each one of those requires not only a different transportation mode, so a different vehicle, whether it be a car or a van or a large ambulance or maybe even a fixed wing helicopter. And all of those require different medical personnel. So the same person that can drive that sedan, the one to the right there, is not the same person that can intubate a patient and have them on multiple IV drips in a complex critical care case.
Right.
And so knowing how you can take in an automated way the patient's need and automatically determine which one of those vehicles and which one of those medical professionals can deliver the care, very, very, very complicated. And to do so with high reliability so you don't hurt a patient,
right.
Obviously we're here to help, not to hurt, the complexity in the software necessary to achieve that cannot be overstated.
So would that be then, talk me through how that works. If somebody calls with an emergency or something, then they're going to get someone who then puts that information into your software, and it reads that to say, okay, you're going to need one of these 4 vehicles.
That's right. So if a patient calls in, let's say, you have an emergency transport that needs to come in, maybe it's emergency transport out of a nursing home, not even at somebody's home. And you find out that the patient is having shortness of breath and they're having maybe even heart palpitations, and you get their demographics, you understand just enough about the patient, okay, immediately I need to send a critical care paramedic, which is different than saying I need to send an EMT. And even more so different than saying I need to send a wheelchair van driver, an ambulette driver. So each one of those are different, but you have to triage very, very quickly. You have, sometimes seconds in order to determine what the right level of service is.
Wow. Okay. So that's really fascinating. And then, so ambulance is part of DocGo, correct? And
Yep.
That's one aspect of it. So tell me about the whole entire platform of DocGo. It's in an app on your phone?
Well, it is. I mean, one part of it is an app on your phone, but that's just a medium by which you procure medical services. We started out as Ambulance about 5.5 years ago. And we built on the foundation of trying to solve the medical mobility, medical transportation industry by making it a win-win-win, making it so that our employees could make more money, patients get great service, and maybe we could even make a little bit of money as a company. But then after kind of solving that, I wouldn't say that, we reached the finish line, but I think we sufficiently solved it. We realized that it's not just medical transportation, which is broken, it is medicine, which is broken.
Yeah.
And so that's where we realized that the solution to delivering, or with the problem that delivering it, was very much about being able to give access to patients in a reliable, high quality, and highly affordable manner. And to do that, you need a robust mobile healthcare solution. Well, who better to roll out a mobile healthcare solution than one of the nation's largest ambulance companies? And so that's where we formed DocGo. We kind of changed the parent of our company to DocGo. DocGo owns Ambulance.
Okay.
But DocGo also has a division of its company called Mobile Health. And so Mobile Health, that Mobile Health division, will leverage our thousands and thousands of EMTs and paramedics from around the country, and we'll uptrain them to go into the home and to do more than just transport the patient, to do things where we're trying to avoid the need to transport the patient. Could we go and do preventative care for a patient to avoid them having to go to the emergency room? Could we do a post-acute, meaning like after they get discharged from the hospital, checkup, so we avoid a readmission? How can we use the medical personnel that are already in vehicles, they're already with the equipment, they're already trained, they're already being paid on that shift? How can we leverage them to increase the accessibility and affordability for healthcare for all Americans? And that's what DocGo is. DocGo's mission is to deliver high quality healthcare that is highly affordable.
Wow. I have so many questions for you. We have to take a quick break, Anthony, but I hope you'll stick around for one more segment because I want to find out more and more about what you're doing and find out if there's a difference between telemedicine and mobile health. So everyone at home, stick around. We've got more with Anthony Capone right after this break. You're watching America Trends TV on all social media platforms. We'll be right back.
Ain't no lot to see. All those plans I made for myself, I got nobody else to lean on.
Welcome to everyone joining us to experience stories of resilience, hope, perseverance, and joy.
Move over to a sport chair, basketball wheelchair.
Category of best video are.
We love you guys.
Welcome back to America Trends. I'm Mary Burt-Godwin, and we are talking to Anthony Capone, who is the president of DocGo. We're talking about the ways in which you are revolutionizing healthcare, really. I believe very strongly in this because we definitely need to be moving to this place where healthcare is more accessible to people all over the country, really. And also, I think you're in the UK as well, right?
We are, yeah. Yep, pretty much all the way, southern part of London, all the way up to Newcastle.
Now, where did you first roll out? Were you first in the US or were you first in the UK?
First in the US, launched in Los Angeles, then New York, then the UK.
Okay, got it. And so before the break, we were talking about the mobile health. Mobile health is part of DocGo. You also have ambulance. Now, is that different than telemedicine or is it the same thing?
Yeah, it latches on to telemedicine. So telemedicine is one of the medical tools that we use.
Okay.
But when you think about where telemedicine stops, so you do let's say that you hop on with one of your physicians, your primary care practitioner, and you determine that you need medication for high blood pressure, and say, okay, well, I'm going to write you a prescription. Well, that's not really the right way to go about doing that. They should do a blood panel and determine, whether or not you can have that. Is that medication safe for you? Well, telemedicine can't analyze your blood, right? It ends at your verbal, textual conversation, visual conversation. Mm-hmm. Where DocGo goes is we are the telemedicine plus. So we'll go into the home, and not only will we have our physician on the line doing the telemedicine, but one of our EMTs will draw that blood, and they'll be using maybe an iStat or a Piccolo type of testing machine where they'll analyze it right then and there. So rather than you having to go and drive to some lab and then wait a couple days before you get your results, then get your script, then go to the pharmacy, what we do is we come to you, our EMT has the iPad, the physician's right there. They do their diagnosis. We look at the blood, analyze that blood, write the script, and our EMTs will have the medication with them. So right then and there, it's end-to-end, full stop, one-stop solution. But the reason why it's still very affordable and low cost, unlike most concierge medicine, is because we're leveraging our EMS personnel with the MDs, the licensed practitioners, on a telehealth visit. So you combine both together, and it's those together that really increase the accessibility, but also more importantly, increase the affordability.
Wow, this is blowing my mind, and I think it's amazing. And just looking at the app, the imagery that you had up there of it being in your app, and then you create a profile, I'm assuming then, and it has all your information about you, and so all the medications that you're on are all listed there, probably, right? And then whoever's
correct,
coming.
yeah, and it's fully integrated with most of the hospital EMRs that you might go to. So as an example, if you're getting discharged from a hospital and there's like a reoccurring kind of treatment protocol, all the aspects that were done at the hospital, we call the H&P, which comes in, are then available so that we can do things like med reconciliation. One of the most common problems in America is that you'll have a patient who doesn't have a primary care practitioner, and they really just the healthcare is delivered to them just through the emergency room or through multiple different uncoordinated providers.
Right.
And so they might be on 12, 13, 14 medications with tons of contraindications. And it's not until we go into the home and we reconcile all of the meds that we realize that, this is actually harmful for that individual. And so having all of that information, all of the meds that come in from the EMR, having the physician who's there in the home or who's on telemedicine with the EMT or paramedic that's in the home has the ability to really ensure the patient has quality total care management.
On the whole. I love that. And you're saying something there that I want to come back to. But first I want to ask you about insurance and how, if you work with all insurance companies, or how that connection is made.
Yeah, we work hand in hand with all the major insurance companies, and we're always adding new ones. But insurance is a critical part of who we are. What we want to do is make sure that, and part of that affordability is you already have insurance. Make sure that the insurance is the one that pays for your health care. It shouldn't be that we show up and now all of a sudden you have to pay, and you also have insurance on top of that. That's a large part of what's wrong with the healthcare system today, is that we spend an enormous amount in insurance, and yet we also still have huge copays and huge deductibles.
Right.
And so we're not only in network, but we're quite good at ensuring that the insurance takes the responsibility.
And then would we just need to talk to, let's say, my kid's pediatrician, if I was to say, do you work with .go to facilitate that and be the bridge? Or would we need to see a doctor then that works with .go?
No, we do both. So we're part of multiple ACOs and IPAs by which your physician may participate in that network, and then they can go and order labs through us, or they can order, like, let's say, for example, you have your children you're mentioning, your podiatrist or your pediatrician could order the vaccines, like as an example. Like, let's say you have your shots for your kids before they go to school. Those are things that we'll go, our EMT or paramedic can go to the home and do that before they before the start of the school year.
Wow, that's amazing. Now I want to touch, we're almost running out of time, but you mentioned something that triggered one thought was that you said these patients sometimes might be on 13, 14 medications. And I was reading on your bio something about you and meditation, and so we only have 1 minute, but I want you to talk about, because I think meditation is something, and maybe a little Eastern medicine built in here on how people don't have to be on maybe 13, 14 medications.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I can't speak for everybody, but I find that, looking inside is very, very critical. Meditation, not only when you talk about the practical aspects of being able to have concentration in your daily activity, but also being able to have equanimity. Equanimity is the ability to not react. That's so applicable in medicine because pain management, the opioid crisis is one of the most plaguing parts of our society.
We talk about that on the show all the time. And I
bet you do.
We're just about out of time, so I want to have you back to talk about more of that. Will you come back, Anthony?
I would love to.
Thank you
for
so
having
much.
me.
And everyone at home, thank you for watching America Trends. We'll see you again tomorrow night.